Today I'm talking about negative space. Negative space is a very interesting way of making compositions in photography. Hi there, I'm Peter Forsgård, an Olympus visionary from Helsinki, Finland. Today my topic is negative space, but before we get into that, please consider subscribing to my channel. My channel is all about you getting to be a better photographer. And hit that bell so you get notified when there is a new video online. I post videos every Tuesday and every Friday. Negative space is the space around your subject. You might have also heard the word white space. That is exactly the same thing as negative space. They use white space in graphic design. With negative space you give all the attention to the subject, which is also called the positive space. Yes, positive space. Negative space calms the photograph and gives the viewer's eye a place to rest. The photograph does not look too busy. And before we continue, I want to see your images and review them. I will give instructions in the end of this video how to send your images to me and how they get reviewed. And if you have tried negative space as a composition method, please let me know down below in the comment section what are your feelings about negative space. And be sure to watch this video to the end if you want to get your images reviewed. I will give you the instructions how to send the images to me in the end of this video. But let's continue. What do you place in the negative space of your frame? Is it empty? No, it does not mean that your space has to be empty to be called negative space. It's a space where there are no distracting elements that will take the attention away from the main subject of the photograph. So as I said in the beginning, with negative space you can kind of like give all the attention to the subject of your photograph. Negative space can be achieved with shallow depth of field to make every distracting element in the background soft and make the whole background soft. The idea is that there are no distracting elements in the background, and that can be obtained by using shallow depth of field. Usually you need 2/3 of empty space in your photograph so that the space could be defined as negative space. One very common way of using negative space is to use the golden ratio or rule of thirds in your composition. Place the main subject, the positive space, to these points and then leave everything else empty. And voila, you have a photograph that uses negative space. Negative space is very interesting for me, and it probably comes from way back when I got my first SLR camera. It's actually behind there. It's a Cosina camera with a 50mm kit lens. Yes, 50mm lens was a kit lens way back when I was 16. And the first lens that I got after the 50mm lens, I bought a 135mm f2.8 Tamron lens, which I don't know where it is. I know I still have it, but could not find it right now. And that made me to see the world in a different way. I don't see the world as a wide-angle view. And usually when you make images with negative space, you need to have a wide-angle lens, even though you can make negative space images with any kind of lens. It doesn't matter. But usually you need a lot of space, and then you have open space, and then you use wide-angle lens. And that's why it's been very interesting for me to try to make a different habit of not cropping so tightly, but to give some room to the subject and use negative space as a tool for that. I've always followed the rule that Robert Capa, the famous award photographer, said, and I quote, "If your pictures are not good enough, you are not close enough." In general, I think that's still a good rule, but there are still other ways to do it. You don't always have to be very, very close to the subject. Usually in portraiture you want to get as close as possible to your subject and even get under the skin of the model, get a really intensive portrait. But portraiture with negative space totally works differently. You give a lot of space to your model and give a lot of room to breathe, and it can make a totally different atmosphere to the image. And of course it could be like a little, the mood could be a little blue or then a little mystery in the portrait when you have the negative space used in your portraiture. But of course there are other things that affect this also. It's the lighting, it's the colors, it's the mood and it's the model. Everything affects. But negative space can give that different look to a portrait also. And then there's one thing that I really like about negative space. It usually slows down the photographer, and because many of us just rush and make as many images as possible and do not actually look at the subject at all. But with negative space, you need to slow down and concentrate on the subject and see how it fits in the composition, and where to leave the emptiness or the negative space that will emphasize and will lift up your positive space, your subject. And that's why I really like it, and it actually will slow you down, because nowadays I think people are making images, or actually taking images too fast. They don't make the images by looking and concentrating on the subject enough. As I said in the beginning, I really would love to see your negative space images and review them. And please send them to this address by Sunday the 20th of January. I will make the video on January 22nd, or I will post it on my regular Tuesday video. I made one video where I reviewed the viewers' live composite images, and you can watch it here. And I will put a link down the description also for that video, so you can check out how I approach the feedback on those images. I'm not going to concentrate on pixel peeping, so 2000 pixel wide image is plenty of pixels so that I can show them on the video. Please, no nudity, no graphic violence or anything like that. And I will scratch those kind of images away, what I cannot show on a video. But otherwise, the subject is free, and it doesn't matter which camera brand you have. You can make the image with your phone if you like. I don't care what the gear is. I only care about is that what kind of subject and what kind of use of negative space you have done. I think that's the only thing that matters. But please keep those images coming, and thanks for watching, and bye for now.